Hello, big brother and the team. Please come along with me as I make one of my favorite creations, which is a crop mesh top. So over here, I have already put in my yarn and on a hook. So I am counting the number of chains that I need for this project. In this instance, I only need about 86. So you count the number of chains that you need depending on the measurements that you are working with. Okay, so I've counted about 40 chains, and I put on the stitch marker just to show where I've ended off. Just in case I forgot the number, I can always go back. And then I'm building another 40 chains so that I know I have reached my 80th chain. And then I'll put on the stitch marker because I only need about 86 chains for this project. And then also during this process, it's always good for you guys to concentrate, and there's no distractions needed because you can easily mess up with the number of chains that you require. That is why I always have a stitch marker so I know where I ended off. I easily get distracted, so that is why I always make sure that I have my stitch marker and anything to guide me as I go along. So I have finished the number of chains that I need. Now I am just creating loops, and then for this project I only need about 20 loops to create a mesh top base. So for the mesh top base I would only need about 15 rows, and then I'll stop and then continue with the chest line, area of torso, moving up the chest, which I'll need another 13 rows. But right now I'm just trying to make sure that I get the correct number of loops. As you guys can see, as I go along, I check to see if I am counting the right chain to make the right number of loops. So in total I need about 20 for this, and I'll do a repetition of 15 times 20 rows to make my base of the crop top. I'm working with the white yarn this time around, and it's very important for your hands to be clean. I don't like sticky hands or sweaty hands, so that is why I always have a towel underneath my work so I can easily wipe off the sweat, and then I can also always get the nice grip of the crochet hook and the yarn. So I started this work about 3 months ago. That was just through watching YouTube tutorials and DIY videos on Facebook and also on YouTube. And then I know this is something that is common to the older generation, and then guys are not heard of doing this. So for me, I thought, you know what, let me just start something different, something that not everybody is doing, or something that it's not out there yet, which is creating anything out of yarn. So I use different types of yarn depending on the project that I'll be working on. So in this video, as you guys can see, I am progressing, and I'm trying to get to the 20th loop, and then when I get there I will then work my way up to about 15 more to about 14 more rows that I need. It is very important for you to concentrate and make sure that you put in the hook onto the correct stitch. And then also from time to time, it's very important for you to check your work and not just work right through up until you finish, just to see how far you're going and whether or not you're not making any mistakes along the way. This is me now checking to see if I'm still on the right track and showing you guys that I am basically moving and I'm progressing as I go. For me, it's a form of therapy, so I get a lot of things off my mind when I am seated on this chair and at this table and just working my life away. And also, just to mention, it's a skill that I've just recently acquired. I was not trained on this. I didn't know anything about wool yarn, but I've always been interested and just always been curious to see and to find out how things are put together and how things are made, basically. So in my spare time, I'll download videos and watch them offline and just educate myself around this type of work. So over there, I've just pulled the yarn. I've got a plastic right next to me underneath the table. So I'll always pull the yarn from that plastic, and the plastic has got something heavy in it so that it does not move around. And the reason why I'm pulling the yarn and just making it loose, so that it's easy for me to yarn and to grip. And also it just alleviates the tension. I don't want it tight, so I just want to move easily as I go along. I think now I have finished my second row. I've moved on to my third row. I'll show you guys how it is as I move along. I think now I'm starting off on my third row, and then I'll show you guys how it's done once I've got all the number of rows that I need. There we go. I'll show you guys now. There you go. Welcome back. So this is me. I got my 15 rows of the base of the crop top. This I've done offline, so you guys didn't see me do that. So now I'm going to demonstrate on how I move along the chest area. So this is the second piece. So once this piece is done, I'm going to put them together so that they can actually look like an actual top. Because right now it does not look like anything. It just looks like I'm just crocheting and just like adding on rows and stitches. It doesn't make sense right now, but then at the end it will make sense. And one of the things that I realized about this type of work, it does require patience. It does require discipline. You need to be very patient and disciplined when it comes to that. You need to be patient with yourself, with what you do, and outside. And for me, whenever I do this work, I just don't want anyone bugging me or trying to have a conversation. But at the end of the day, right now I've already laid my rows, so I know where to start and when to sort of like end. So I can put on my music, I can just go all crazy. I've just put on my stitch marker now so that I know where to stop, because I'm doing the base of the crop top, which is the second part of this whole process. Yeah, and also with me, what I want to basically do at the end of the day, this is just not only for myself, it's another way of giving back to the community. What I mean by community, I just don't mean but where I stay. I'm just talking about community as a whole, be it LGBTAI plus community or where I basically reside. So it's something I think fresh, and it's something that is still unknown where I come from, especially young guys like myself. And it's just basically to empower and motivate. And it doesn't matter where you come from, where you are in life, what your gender or your role is, you can still do something with your life. It doesn't matter what it is. Showing you guys the progress. Okay. That's how it's gonna build up to the chest. Slowly but surely getting there. Getting all excited as I'm knitting and crocheting my life away. I think during this process I had already done my first row of the second part of the mesh top. So now I know where to start and where to end. The only thing that I'm doing right now is just building up the rows to make sure that I have a total of 13 for the second part of the top. So you'd swear that I have a lot of experience in this, but it's just only been under 3 months. But then I would say it's been more than a month or so doing the actual job after practicing. So now I have done most part of the second part of the top, and now I'm working on the shoulder area, which only requires about 5 rows on each side. Then again, it's important to count the number of rows and also stitches as you move right along, because it's easy to make a mistake. You can just stitch and crochet all right through, and then forgetting to count, then you're gonna have to now undo everything, which is not a process that I would want to go. Okay, so after the one side is done, you need to always make sure that you clean the one side, but then you can always clean it after. So this is how it looks when it's basically almost done. And then now I'm moving on to the second part of the shoulder, which will also be 5 rows. At least for this part, I don't have to do the whole, line. I just only need about two rows, and then about 2 lines, and then just add on 5 rows on top of it. At first it is kind of tedious, and sometimes you just feel like giving up and just like regretting why you started this, but you must always remember why you started this and the reason behind that, and what's motivating you starting this. For me, it was just more than a skill that I wanted to equip myself, but then also to share it with other people that don't know how to crochet, that have never seen a crochet hook before, that they can do anything with a wool or yarn. They can create anything from scratch up until grown up. Anything is possible, because I never actually saw myself doing this anytime soon. But I've had ideas on starting something from ground up, but then this caught my eye, including the baskets, bags, as well as the scarves that I'm making. And it's easy to do something that you love. It's easy for you to get motivated, So if you do something with love, with passion, everything comes easy. You don't feel forced doing it. You don't feel tired. You just go on and on and on and on like a spinning wheel. Okay, the top is almost done. I'm busy now tying the ends and making sure that they're tight, they don't come loose. Getting excited. I'm just doing the final touch-ups and cleaning the edges or the ends of the top where the yarn is hanging, before I can actually stitch them together into one piece. So make sure that everything is tight, everything is prim and proper, everything is intact, nothing is coming off loose, and everything is just like in order and J. Tighten the other side and clean it after. Just cut the loose ends. There we go. Now the top is almost ready to be stitched together with the other piece, sorry. So I'm gonna have both the pieces together shortly so you guys can see. There you go. That's my second piece that I've done. I put them together. I am now gonna remove the stitch marker because I don't need them anymore because the project is almost done. So now I just need to make sure that they are equally aligned. So now I've grabbed the needle and the thread, which is the yarn. So I'm stitching both the pieces together to make sure that they don't come loose and that they are tightly, stitched. And as I'm doing this, if you guys notice that I am aligning them, so I'm making sure that each row is, matched up with the other row on the other side. So you don't have the one piece hanging over the other, which will look super weird on somebody's body. And for me, I like things seamless. I don't want to still see the stitches once everything has been done, and that is why you'd always clean up after that, after you've put your pieces together. And it's so easy to make a mistake here because now you're stitching both the pieces. That is why I said it's important for you to make sure that the pieces are aligned and that they are proportioned. And of course both pieces should be the same size because I counted my rows and the number of chains that I needed, so it should be equal on both sides. So now I'm just rushing to finish the one side so I can move on to the next. As you guys can see, the finished part, that is seamless, it's nice, it's neat and tidy. And remember, you're working with white again, so you need to make sure that your hands are always clean and that they're not sweaty. You don't want to get nothing on it. So now this is how it looks when it's done. I'm just now finishing up and touching up. This is how it looks on the body. I'm so excited. The project is done. The only thing I need to do now is to basically iron it and pack it.